How do we accept that we have a problem?
Thank you for asking that.
And why is it important?
What I would start off with is really taking in the sensations in your body, taking a deep breath, and focusing yourself on the luminosity and how I just became a tangerine eating champion. And yeah, make sure you smash the likes. Go show me some love down in the comments. You already know what's up. But all jokes aside, yeah, when you're with whatever it is you're dealing with, food problems, prawn problems, social problems, money problems, whatever, wherever maybe drug type beat, you kind of just have to. There's that homage. It's like know the difference between what you like. Fuck, it was like wisdom is knowing how dire the situation is and what you actually can do about it or whatever. But I won't go there yet. What I would say is just looking in the mirror and assessing your results. Some people they think that they can turn this around really quick when they have had a long track record of things going south. So you kind of have like this way too idealistic perspective, and because of that, sometimes you don't take the measures you actually need. You don't realize, like, if you've been put it in perspective, let's say your name's John, whatever, and you've been drinking for a long time, and you're fully classified as an addict, then it's not something where like you can just do it on your own. Like there's a reason why AA exists, and people go to meetings and they schedule time out and they meet people, and they're literally, it's like a part-time job sometimes. I've worked with guys where they treated recovery like a part-time, sometimes even like a full-time job, where they block time out. They don't even allow some men have had to get their computers. I remember working with a guy, like, that's what he had to do. He sold his computer. He's like, I can't be at home by myself. Like, one thing leads to another. Like, have spent so much time. I'm now like middle aged, and I've spent so much time into this, and I've been lying to myself. So when you have that really honest assessment, you have the action that really follows up and complements that, so that you actually do make a big change, and you don't stay in a self-development high of like lying to yourself and like thinking you're making progress, but it's really just it's like you're getting a taste of success, and then you get hooked onto that, and you use that as like a justification to like stay, because the reality is it takes a lot of work, a lot of suffering, to really shake this off. Like, really, you have to like do the work, and it's a lot of work sometimes. Unlearning this can really, force you to make a lot of changes, make a lot of changes depending on where you're at, depending on how far down the rabbit hole you've gone.
And then it's
So,
quite a
yeah.
big catharsis. Sorry, you were saying. Sorry,
No.
continue.
Go, no, take it.
No. I was saying like it's a big catharsis for your internal self, because often we're just like, when you shrivel up, you're like tense, emotionally and spiritually. It releases you, and you have this big catharsis where you can move past the guilt, the anger, the depression, and then you can honestly do a honest assessment and an appraise of your life. Like, okay, where am I? I know I have this problem, and I accept it, and I'm gonna adamantly work towards it through volition. Then you can start building a game plan without having all this baggage of denial of no, this is, I choose to do this, or any other self-sabotage, and because if you're not accepting where you are, you're actually wasting time, and you're staying in the rut. The boiling frog, if it realizes it's being boiled alive, then you should get out. But if you choose to stay, then you're digging your own grave. And the power of accepting is, it really just, again, the catharsis can really catapult you forward, and it removes all that unnecessary baggage. And it's not easy to do this process. It's easier said than done. But once you start beginning the process in itself of, okay, I gotta accept where I'm at, and clearly nothing else has worked. Otherwise, I'm going in circles constantly. I take one step forward, I take two step back. So how can we get you to two steps forward and maybe one step back, but you're still moving forward at a reasonable level? This can also be from maybe, how you were brought up and how you cope with things. Denial is the easiest form to live in your little fake reality. But at the same time, there's that inside voice saying, hey, something's wrong here. Like, you're lying to yourself, and you can only feed yourself bullshit until it overflows. And sure, if you're like insanely like deceptive to yourself, yeah, you can lie to yourself for a lot of time, whether it's because of guilt, shame, anger, whatever.
Yeah.
So Dan, how can I, like, how would you, sorry, what's the first step? Like, right now they're sitting, like, you want Gaz and Dan, like, yeah, okay, I want to accept it, but I have this resistance, internal resistance. Mm-hmm. What's one thing they can start beginning to do pragmatically?
I would say after you've done the assessment of how bad it is, now you just got to go into why you want to do this and really dive into that. I don't think people do enough why work, like real why work, not just like fiddling around in your head, like just sitting down, getting away from the tech, turning off your computer, and just write this shit down, then go for a walk and be meditating on it and thinking about it, then come back and look at it again, and then like sit on it, and the next day, like, go to the porch, have your tea and meditate on it again, like really treat it like it's like this 9 to 5 like logarithmic work that you just have to do, the internal, because that sets you up really, really well for the following steps, for the following actions that you're going to be doing to get this handled. Because that's going to drive you. That's going to drive you, because you're going to have days where you're craving, and that's like a driving force that will help you stay disciplined to keep that. Like, that's what discipline is: doing what you need to do in spite of what you're feeling. Once you are able to do that consistently, you are your own master. You can control your emotions. You don't need motivation anymore. You literally have discipline. It turns into this calloused skill. So do the why work. And then I'd say, like, in accompanying with that, see, you don't need to just like do this purely. Everyone's different. And accompanying with that, I would say you then immediately need to begin like cleansing. Like, if you're just getting this like started, or you've been tippy toeing, like, okay, I know about quitting prawn, or I know about what I should be doing, but you still been like edging, or you still been, peeping it. I know a very common thing with guys where once they begin, like, oh, I edged, or like they develop, they have other things to work through until like they finally get there. So sometimes you're like on the fence still, and you have to just, I'd say, delete all prawn related shit, if we're talking in that context. So some guys, hey, listen, listen, we've all been freaks. Okay, I used to have links that I would save of stuff I'd search online. People would sometimes download and stash things. It's time to get rid of those. It's time to burn those things. If there's whatever pictures or DVDs or magazines, I know, some guys like to collect that. It's time to have a breakup, basically, with this old, pleasurable. It's like breaking up with a bad girlfriend, man. Like, that's really what's happening here, and you need to just let go of this thing. As much as you like it, that it's really bad for you, and that's kind of like the definition of a toxic relationship. It's actually a good way to think about it. Is yeah, you have had a lot of memories with this girl, but what you've realized is like what this relationship is doing to you is leading you down a path that is going to have immense suffering, which is why doing the inner work allows you to see that, right? It allows you to see that and then make that jump, a leap of faith to delete that, to break up, because it's a leap of faith. Like, when you're breaking up with a girl for the first time, that can be like your first fight. It can feel like it's your first time swimming in the deep end of the pool. It's fucking scary. It's totally understandable. and letting go of that can be hard, which is why guys can sometimes like, okay, like I stopped doing this, but I'm still, viewing the JPEGs, or I'm still, it's like you still have a connection with it. It's like when it's like a fake breakup where you've broken up or you've officially done it, but like you still have a little bit of a connection left with that person where you're texting each other. Well, no, we're not seeing each other, but we're like still texting each other, or like checking up on each other here and there. So you need to like just go like cold turkey with that. It doesn't mean you never relapse. It just means like go to the deep end essentially. There's like you're done just putting your feet in the beginning of the ocean, getting to feel the cold wave. It's like, okay, dude, but don't you want to like go to the deep end and actually do the swimming instead of just standing like with the shore up to your ankles? So I would say if you can just dial those two in, you're set. And depending on how effed up you are or how addicted you are, it's okay to reach out for help. We do have a course. You can check that on the description if you are the type of person, because that's how it was for me, man. Like, and this goes into the further points. Get help. Get help. Like, holy crap! I leaned on my family. They were amazing. I leaned on Gaz, my close friends. I leaned on the internet. I leaned on therapy. I leaned on online courses. Like these are all facts. I leaned on coaching calls. I leaned on books, plentiful of books. I leaned on so much. I'm probably missing a lot of stuff here. I went crazy with it, and then there's a bunch of other stuff. Like this will turn into a 3-hour podcast, and that's why I advise you like check out the course, because we go into extreme detail. Like this is something that can take a lot of work, and I know how addictive this can be. We were talking to Josh about it on Pinnacle, man. Yo, people be super addicted now, and it's overwhelming. Not just with prawn, okay, not just with like adult content, but tech is absorbing human consciousness, right? Tech, like think about this concept. You might even want to preview this as the teaser in the beginning. Technology, whether it's through social media, whether it's through adult content, whatever the means, it's this crazy experiment where we're seeing human consciousness being like absorbed into like this vacuum, which is crazy, right? When you go out, you see people they don't have that depth with each other. They're looking down into their phone. People are afraid to look at each other, right? It's sucking away our actual focus in the real world, where you're just looking at this device, this monitor, and that is becoming your reality. And the consequence is going out and feeling afraid by your fellow men. The consequence is not having any relationships of death. It's all these like, oh, I met so-and-so through Discord, or I met him through Snapchat, and we talk on Snapchat. But you don't have depth. There isn't depth, right? Whatever the means may be, you have to do the self-auditing. Otherwise, you literally just have your entire life experience and your decision to be like conscious, your ability to be more present, and your ability to actually live your life and experience your soul, your sentience here, that gets robbed of you. That gets completely robbed of you, and you don't realize how bad that robbing is, right? Because the systems that are designed to do that are highly addictive, and they're designed to be highly addictive. Whether we're talking games, social media, whatever, like I said, you have to be really on top of this, because boom, holy moly, 2 years now, just gone, eh? Like just like that. I look back at photos from 2019. I'm like, dude, that just felt like 6 months ago. I literally cannot believe that's over 2 years ago. And I was like, what? Like that needs to shock you, right? That needs to inspire you to question your relationship with whatever the vice may be, through electronics, or whether it's something you roll up and you spark up and you smoke, or whatever the means. Could even be relationships. Maybe your vice is your social skills, or your all of your friends are miserable and you all are just like sharing your misery together, uh, hitting bongs every day in a chat and just like doing nothing every day all day, right? So you need to do that auditing. I don't know where I went with this, but yeah.
No, that was a good summary point. So if you guys need extra help, make sure you reach out to community or get some one-on-one coaching or enlist in our course. But at the end of the day, you have to do that legwork. and walk through that door. You know, we can give you the keys, but you still gotta walk through that door yourself at the end of the day. All right, we'll see you guys next one. Peace.
Cheers.